This is the Calvin D Project, where we interview interesting people driven to change the trajectories of those they serve through learning, teaching, and writing. I want to thank you for being here. We're pleased to welcome Everett Drake out of Nashville, Tennessee. Make sure you stick around because some of the most powerful content is the advice portion that's at the end. So right before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification icon so you can get more episodes like this one. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your ministry.
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for allowing me to come and share with you. It's a pleasure. I'm just a church boy out of Nashville, Tennessee that's been afforded some wonderful opportunities. Been blessed to be a part of the platform of Dr. Bobby Jones and BET's Bobby Jones Gospel for over 35 years or so. Still working with him on the Impact Television Network on Bobby Jones Presents. I've had, like I said, some wonderful opportunities. I've been touring with many country music stars. That's how I made my living, doing background vocals for country music stars and doing recording sessions here in Nashville, Tennessee. And went on to tour with Donna Fargo starting in 1980 for 18 or 20 years. Her biggest song was The Happiest Girl in the Whole USA. She's like one of my musical mentors. She was the first person that gave me an opportunity to practice my craft and make a living as a professional singer. And then I went on a tour with Lyle Lovett and his large band for several years. So I've been very fortunate to have those three people as my musical mentors.
What would you say was your big break into gospel music?
When I happened to go to the studio to hang out with some of my friends who were singing with Dr. Jones, I was, like I said, touring with Donna Fargo at the time, but you can't ask people to always come see what you're doing, not be willing to go and support them in what they're doing. So I would go and hang out with them. And one time they asked me, said, why haven't you come and sing with me? And I said, well, Doc, when those people call, I've got to go. That's how I pay my bills. He said, listen, boy, I know what you do. I've been knowing you all your life. But there's always a place for you at Bobby Jones Gospel. And I have to say, he's been a man of his word. And I've had the opportunity many times to be welcomed back after being gone on tour, sometimes 6 months, a year and a half, or whatever the case might be. And he would always welcome me back with open arms. And needless to say, that little box we call a television is a powerful thing.
Yes, it is.
And I'm grateful for that.
Because you have a very, very diverse background in music. What would you say is your style as an artist?
I don't know that I can definitely say what my style might be. I've been influenced by so many people. I've told you about my three musical mentors who are all very totally different. And not to mention, the music that I might listen to. I try to speak about things that are encouraging and address positivity. And if anything I want reflected in my music is a positive message. Every message may not be a shouting message, but I want it to be a thought-provoking, positive message.
Your song, Amen Goes Right There, which was considered top song of the year on One Way radio station, and it continues to have heavy radio play. What was the backstory behind that song?
I was standing in my kitchen one day, and God spoke to me and said, most people don't even know your name. All they know is you, the light-skinned boy on Bobby Jones that points. And those of us that watch Bobby Jones Gospel will know what I'm talking about. I didn't even realize what I was doing at the time, but I was branding myself. I just stood there. I didn't say anything, Calvin. I just kind of stood there because I knew God was trying to get my attention. In a minute, he came back and said, all you were doing was being a witness, and I'm going to give you a song to go with it. I still didn't say anything, but shortly thereafter, he came back and said, now, go back to those same said people and sing this song. And for the first time I opened my mouth, I said, well, I don't have no song. But nothing was said. But I began to see images floating through my mind of people like we see them sometimes on the streets pushing their belongings down the street in grocery carts, people living under bridges. I saw people being wheeled down the corridors of hospitals on gurneys going to surgery. And I didn't know what it meant at that time, but it was through a conversation with my producer, the late Derek Lee. We wrote the song, Amen Goes Right There. It was the last song we wrote for the project, which is called, that's the title of the CD, Amen Goes Right There. But it was the last song that we wrote. He said to me, he said, well, what do you want to say? And I said, well, Derek, I see this as a rally call for all people, not just black people, not just white people, but for everybody. That we've got to learn how to love one another. We've got to learn how to treat one another. He said, okay, and what else you want to say? I said, well, we're the greatest nation in the world, but we don't have free health care for our citizens. And the homeless situation has really gotten out of hand. He said, okay. I said, well, now I see this as a rally call. Somebody standing on a hill with a megaphone, giving this charge out to people. And people are responding, shouting, Amen goes right there. Amen goes right there. And then he finally said, oh, okay, I get it. And then we began to talk. He began to play. And it's like the melody of the song was written on the crown molding in the room where we were sitting. And he just kept playing, and he fell upon what I call the answer. Amen goes right there. I said, that's it. He looked at me, he said, what's it? And I had to take him back to what he had played because he was a fast arranger. Yeah. And then he fell upon that marvelous chorus that I love so much. Why can't we work together since we're down here living together? I said, Derek, I love that. That's Ashford and Simpson. And we just laughed and had the biggest time. But that's actually how the song was written, through a conversation. And I'm just grateful God chose me to deliver that message.
You were also in the movie Granny's Place by Lydia Wright Hamilton. Talk about that opportunity.
Man, you've done your homework. Listen, that just happened over the Thanksgiving weekend. Had the privilege of going to Detroit, Michigan to be a part of that awesome movie. Pastor Lydia Wright is a playwright and has written many plays, and this is one of her plays. A screenplay has been written for who she offered me a part in the movie as well, and I am grateful. Had a wonderful time. It's some amazing things that happened in this movie, and I just pray that God would bless our efforts. I know it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see it. I look forward to it. It's called Granny's Place, the movie.
As you said in recent news, congratulations is in order on receiving your doctorate. Talk about that.
Wow. Probably the most overwhelming thing that's ever happened in my life. Never in my wildest dreams have I ever thought of anything like that. In music, you kind of dream of Grammys or Stellar Awards, being in gospel music and these types of things. But that was the farthest thing from my mind, an honorary doctorate degree in sacred music. It was the funniest thing when they called and said what I said. Now, what did you say you want to do again now? Could you just say that one more time? Because it was hard to even believe, but I'm most grateful to the School of the Great Commission there in Georgia and down in South Carolina, thinking enough of the work that we do to want to do something like that. And it certainly has been encouraging. God has his way of encouraging his people, and that certainly was one of the most encouraging times of my life.
You were on the cover and featured in Indie Mogul magazine and recently presented with a Living Legend Award by the Gospel Hip Hop Music Awards. And you also received a Lifetime Achievement Award by the Varnell Foundation. You even presented at the Spin Awards. What would you say is the secret to your longevity?
I think you have to really keep reinventing yourself. I learned that from Ambassador Dr. Bobby Jones, because we often wonder how he's managed to stay on the top of things, how his show managed to be the #1 show on the BET network for over 35 years. And he would always say, you've got to keep reinventing yourself. He would always say, if you don't have any work, then you create work for yourself. so that you keep moving and keep progressing. And that's what I've tried to do here in later years. I'm hosting events, hosting award shows, doing plays, whatever I can manage to make happen, opportunities that might come our way. We never know what God has in store for us. We have to be a willing vessel. And I just try to be a sponge and learn all I can. We navigate through this ever-changing world of gospel music.
Can you talk a little bit about how being selective and ensuring you're investing in the right people?
We should always go to conferences and to places where we can learn all we can while we have an opportunity before investing. That's with anything. This gospel music world is, like I said, ever changing. I've run into so many young cats that out here have built great studios in their home, but they haven't gone anywhere to learn that they even need to encode their music. So they're frustrated because they're not getting any airplay because the machines won't read their music because it hasn't been encoded properly. But had they gone to some conferences to learn or did some research to learn what needs to happen for that, those problems would not have happened. Same thing about your publishing. You can't receive any benefits from your life's work if you haven't connected with one of the three licensing companies, BMI, CSAC, or ASCAP. Because with the internet, our music goes all over the world. And you need to own your publishing. My producer, Derek, would not allow me to record the first song until I had opened my own publishing company. And then you need an administrator to administrate your publishing, to find out where your music is being played so that you can get paid for your work. So these are the things, that is very important that we study, get an understanding of what we're getting involved in when it comes to the business side of this music industry. Yes, it's ministry, but it's also a business when you get into the recording and the traveling and touring, becoming an artist as per se. That side of it calls for a business mind, and you have to go somewhere and educate yourself. Read some books, go to some conferences where people are having panel discussions. And a lot of times at these conferences, they bring in people to be on the panels, but the people won't come to the panel discussion. Be about 15, maybe 20 people there. Over time for the concert, you got 800, 1,000 people in the room. And that's where we are suffering. We're not getting educated about what we're getting involved.
And you spoke on conferences. Can you speak to the Mentors of Performing Arts and Broadcasters Conference?
Absolutely. I had the privilege of sharing with Dr. Birdsong. I believe it was in October. A wonderful, wonderful platform, a virtual conference for the people that are entering into the arts, not just gospel music, but arts in general. And he had several presenters in this conference. I happen to be partnered with Vanessa Mitchell, who is a phenomenal artist in our own right. And we were there to encourage and share our life stories and information to help encourage and inspire some young person to follow their dreams. That's my story in this season of my life. Never give up on your dreams. So that's what I talked about as we shared with Dr. Birdsong at that conference. Wonderful thing. It's out on YouTube. Go and look it up and listen. There's many topics that were addressed by different presenters. We happen to be talking directly to performing artists.
Talk about tuning in with the indies and what you're wanting to accomplish with that platform.
I touched on it briefly just a few minutes ago. The things I talked about, going to the conferences and understanding and learning about your publishing companies and encoding your music, that inspired me to do the television show. I think I had complained one time too many, and God said, "What you gonna do about it? If they won't come and get the information, you take the information to them." And I shared it with some people, industry professionals that I have relationships with, and shared my heart, and they allowed me to interview them. I told them, "I'm not trying to get any of your trade secrets, but I want you to share enough information that when we get ready to invest, we will be investing with the right people." So many times as independent artists, we are accused of not investing in ourselves. I beg to differ. I think we've been investing with the wrong people. And it's my prayer that through this television show, I can introduce us. And I say us because I'm an independent artist myself. And I ask them to talk to me like I don't have a clue as to what's going on, so we can help everybody. They were most gracious to come and allow me, and I will trail their information along the bottom of the screen so that when people hear something that will help them, they can reach out to these people and prayerfully learn and be able to further their career. Yes, ministry costs. It may cost a little bit more, but at least we're dealing with the people who have the knowledge that can help us, and not just somebody said, "Oh yeah, I can get you all 400 radio stations and all." But are there reporting stations that can help you chart and all? Things are very different now. Everything has changed. So if they're not, people are not working directly in the music business currently, they may not be up on what's happening right now. And these people work daily. That's how they make their living as radio promoters or people who are producers or songwriters and all those things that go along with the things that I touched on, which was songwriting and publishing, production and recording, management and booking, radio and radio promotion, marketing and social media, and distribution. And of course, we had some of the very best in independent artists be showcased as well. But that's what it's all about. It's an informative talk show designed to educate and empower independent artists. Everett Drake, in tune with indies.
The people that are in the trenches supporting independent artists like yourself with their plays on radio stations and on social media. Talk about having the support of people like Dalton Anderson, Brother Reggie Rich, Andre Carter. Why is it so important for independent artists to have those people support?
Those people helped me get started. My producer told me, say, "Yeah, you've been on television for 35 years, but you're still a new artist. And we got to start from the bottom and build." And those people that you just mentioned are the people that helped me get my music out initially before it was ever played on terrestrial radio. And I'm grateful to Brother Reggie Rich at Rejoice America Radio, Brother Andre L. Carter there in Chicago, who we call the godfather of internet radio, Brother Dalton Anderson, who is on terrestrial radio. He's probably one of the first that picked my project up and played. He's out of New York. And as a matter of fact, this year at the Spin Awards, I presented him with an award that's named in my honor, the Everett Drake Distinction in Radio Award, to Mr. Dalton Anderson for his work with independent artists. And I admonish any independent artist that may hear this broadcast to please reach out to him on Facebook, Dalton Anderson. He constantly posts information that helps independent artists about your one sheet, how to present yourself and how to send your music out to radio, and the things that we all need to know about getting and advancing as an independent artist. And I'm just grateful for those people. I shall never forget them, and I'm grateful to have them in my life. Brother Cedric Bailey at Joyce Musical Soul Food Network, wonderful man that was also very instrumental in helping to get my music out. Introduced me to Lady Wanda Bell, and so many. I could go on and name names of many names, but those are the first ones come to mind after you mentioned those three.
What encouraging words would you like to give to an aspiring artist?
There are three things that I always talk about when I go to conferences or on a panel, And that is, of course, never give up on your dreams. But I talk about, first of all, pray. Pray that God will give you the right things to say, the right messages to deliver, and that you'll be led by Him in your delivery of what you want to say to people. And then pray that you'll be a willing vessel, that where God leads you, you'll be willing to follow, because He's got the way already made. We just don't know about it. Be found in prayer. God will lead you down the path that He wants you to go, and that you'll be willing to follow Him. Now, the second thing is practice your craft. A lot of people want to dive right in and think things are going to happen. You have to practice your craft. I'm a singer. I work in the music ministry at my home church, where I've been there for over 50 years, singing in the choir. Some people seem to think that choir singing is too hard and it'll mess up your voice or whatever. I beg to differ. Your vocal cords are a muscle like any other muscle. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. Don't be afraid to sing on the praise team. Serve in your church and all. Sometimes we think we're doing something for somebody else, but when in all actuality, it is for us. I'm grateful to have the privilege to work in the music ministry of my home church. I'm the minister of music at our church now. It gives me a chance to teach music and sing every week, which keeps my chops up, so that when I do have an opportunity to go out and minister and have to sing 10 or 12 songs, my stamina is built, and my wind and everything that's necessary to do a full concert, that I can be able to make it through and not be embarrassed because I'm not prepared. I haven't done what I needed to do to practice my craft to be ready to go out and do concerts. So I admonish you to practice your craft. Whatever it is, if you're a musician, sit in with some bands and work with others and understand ensemble playing, because you can't play everything you know, every lick you know, and every song you know. You have to learn how to work well with others and not step on each other when you're playing with others. It's a difference in playing solo and as opposed to playing with a band and playing ensemble playing. Practice your craft. And the other thing is associate yourself with people who are doing what you want to do. I touched on this briefly earlier. I went to Bobby Jones' Gospel when it was first being taped here in Nashville, Tennessee, in the television studios here, to hang out with some friends of mine. I didn't go there to be on the show. I went there to hang out, just to be there with them. But even before that, these same friends were doing recording sessions around here in the city. And I started going to the recording session with them to see what to do if given an opportunity, how to conduct myself. And when I wasn't making any money, there was no check for me. Nowadays, that's the first thing come out of everybody's mouth. Well, how much am I going to get paid? I'm not going over there. They don't have no check for me. We have got to learn how to serve in order to learn what we need to. Now, one time I went to the studio with them. I wasn't making any money, but the producer there asked him, said, "Can he sing? Bring him in here and let him sing too." Well, that was my opportunity, Cal. If I had not been there, I would have missed my opportunity. And then they began to get more work than they could handle. So they started passing work off to me, and I started hiring people to go with me. And over the years, we kept one another working. If I didn't have any work, they had work. If they didn't have any work, I had work. So they kept us all working. And I said that to say, associate yourself with people who are doing what you want to do. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to learn how to do recording sessions and do background vocals. I wanted to learn about television and being a part of a television show and what you do and how to conduct yourself in that kind of environment. These things I want to learn. I went there to learn. That's what you have to do. If you're building a house, associate yourself with somebody who's already built a house. They can save you money. They can show you things that you should or should not do, mistakes they've already made, that they won't allow you to make if you associate yourself with people who are doing what you want to do. Associate yourself with people who are doing what you want to do. That's probably one of the most important things you could ever do. And I share those three things because I feel that they will help you because they helped me to get where I am today. That's the very first thing that I talk about.
What new projects are you working on that you can share with us?
Well, of course, I'm working on new music. As I stated before, my producer passed away the early part of this year, Derek Lee, and he was like a brother to me. I've been reeling and rocking from that situation, but God is a keeper. So I've had some music that he and I have been working on that I've been able to get my hands on, and I'm trying to reach out to some producers to try to get my music out again. And of course, the television show, Everett Drake in Tune with Indies. Whatever God sends my way, I just want to be a willing vessel that I'll be doing what He has in store for me to do. Because if anybody told me that I'd be doing what I'm doing right now, I would look at them and thought they were crazy.
For my audience that wants to connect with you, how do we find you?
Of course, I'm on all social media, Everett Drake. There's no E on the end of Everett. EVERETT DRAKE. That's Facebook, and of course on Twitter it's the same thing. Now on Instagram, I'm known as Mr. A-Man Goes Right There. That's MR_AGRT. As in, A-Man Goes Right There. You can reach out to me. I'm booked through J. Bender Entertainment, a young man here in Nashville, Tennessee. Jimmy Bender handles all of my arrangements and things. You can reach out to him through J. Bender Entertainment.
I want to thank you for being a guest on the Calvin D Project podcast this week. Be sure to connect with Everett Drake on social media and also check out his music. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so you can get more episodes like this one. And thank you again for listening to the Calvin D Project.